So, in the last class, seeing Stephens with a medals, lengthy row of medals, Evans thought of Rum Road. Yesterday, told you all the students should open the video. Emmanuel, Aryan, Anna, Atul, all should open. There is no need of reminding again and again. So, yesterday in the last class, I told you about the Rum Road. Rum Road is a short range bomber. It is an attacker. It is an attacker. So that term is given to Stephens. That means he is a great, famous attacker. That is why a number of medals are on his chest. So this connotes, interprets that Stephens can attack at any time. That is why the term Rumroad is given. So, for a few seconds, Muhammad Adhim, where are you? You switch on the video, otherwise you quit the place. Adhim, you never open the video. Last few days I have seen. For a few seconds, Evans looked thoughtfully at the man standing rumroad. Straight in front of him, a string of Second World War medals proudly paraded, lined up over his left breast pocket. Mr. Jackson, was it you who took my nail scissors away? Evans had always worried about his hands. So he asked about the nail scissors. And your nail file too. Look, for a moment, Evans's eyes smoldered dangerously. So the nail scissors were taken, and knowing that, he asked Jackson whether it was taken. And when Jackson gave a tit for tat reply, it was not happy to Evans. So he looked seriously. Eyes smoldered dangerously. A serious look. Serious look. He looked seriously. But Jackson was ready for him with answers. So when Evans looked seriously, doubtfully, Jackson gave the answer to him. I have taken the nail scissors at the orders of the governor, not because of mine, not because of my desire, not because of my desire, but governor ordered. He leaned forward and leered, his voice dropping to a hard, contemptuous whisper. You want to complain? Do you want to complain? So, saying this, he leaned forward and leered, looking with a side way. So, he told, I took it at the orders of the governor. Do you have any doubts? Do you have any doubts? Thinking in mind, he, with a leaned body, he looked at him. Then he asked a question. Do you have a complaint against the governor? Evans shrugged his shoulders lightly. With the shoulder, he told, no complaint. No, no problem. The crisis was over. The problem was over. You have got half an hour to smarten yourself. Get ready, Evans, and take that bloody hat off. Then Jackson said, only half an hour left. Get ready for the exam. And remember, remove your hat. Me? Hat? Oh, me? To remove my hat? Evans put his right hand lovingly on the top of the filthy woolen hat, filthy woolen hat, and smiled sadly. When Jackson told to remove the hat, his hand went up to the hat and wait. And he asked, do you know, Mr. Jackson, it is the only thing that has ever brought me any sort of luck in my life. You see, this hat is a good omen in my life. This hat is a good omen, OMEN, good omen, sign of luck in my life. Whenever I became successful in my life, the hat was with me. You see, do you know, Mr. Jackson, it is the only thing that has ever brought me any sort of luck in my life. Kind or lucky man, kind or lucky Jackson, if you know what I mean. If you can understand what did I say, if you can understand my feelings with the hat, please permit me to wear the hat. Because this is a good omen. This hat is a good omen in my life. Whenever I try for any purpose, whenever I try for any good effort, I use this hat with me. It gives me victory. So, if you can understand this feeling of mine, will you permit me to wear the hat this time? And today, I thought, well, with me, exam and all that. And today, I'm going to write O-level exam in German. It is a great day for me. It is a great day for me. So, will you permit? If I wear and write the exam, I will be able to get 95%. Will you be, will you permit? Buried somewhere in Jackson, underline that sentence. Buried somewhere in Jackson was a tiny core of compassion, and Evans knew it. In our language, if we say Evans Uh, so here you see, in our language, if we say Jackson had a slight sympathy towards Evans. You just think about at, your people at home. Sometimes your father may be very, very harsh to you, very strict, not harsh, strict to you. And you know the time when you have to ask. At that time, if I go and ask, my father will agree. The time, sometimes when we were very little children at home, there were number of children at home, 8, 9, like that. Not like you people. A football team was there, isn't it? So when we want to get some kind of help from mummy, what we should do? On that day, we will help mummy in various ways, even in cooking, bringing the things, fetching water, everything. So we will create a sympathy in the mind of mama. Then after doing all these things, we will present the matter to mummy. Mummy, we want to go for a movie. So ultimate permission is to be granted from father. So before that, we have already arranged all the situation to get the permission. We have helped mama. So mama would go to father and he would say, oh, children were working the whole day. Let them go for a movie. So there is no chance for denying. Papa says, Sherry, okay, okay. So this is what is called buried somewhere in Jackson, a tiny core of compassion. That means, as an prison officer who is in charge of events, Jackson has great enmity towards the prisoner that we have seen in the first page. They were enemies. So Jackson should never permit any kind of lease to him. But at the core of his heart, he has a love towards the character of Evans. So that Evans knew, if I ask in such a way, Jackson would permit me. He knew how to behave to Jackson. This is an important sentence. Buried somewhere in Jackson, a tiny core of compassion. And Evans knew that. Then what happens? And he asked, and using that tiny core of compassion, what happened? Jackson permitted. Jackson said, okay, 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 only this time. Don't ask me next time. Same answer. Okay, okay, I agree. I permit you this time. But then Shirley Temple. Who is Shirley Temple? He was a very good actor. And at the same time, he was a diplomatic person. He was a diplomat. Shirley Temple was a famous American diplomat, an IFS officer. Not IFS, foreign service officer, not IFS. So, a foreign service officer, an ambassador, a diplomat, how will he be? He will be very gentle. He will be very polite. He will be like a qualified person. Here you see the attire of Evans was filthy, dirty, dirty dress, dirty hat. You check with yourself. And Jackson says, okay, okay, you use your hat today, but tomorrow onwards, be clean, be gentle, be polite. During this lockdown, Corona lockdown, my dear boys, how many times your parents might have told you, why don't you cut your hair? Some people, not you, some people might have taken it as a chance to grow the hair, like very lengthy, like a Congo forest. Congo forest, very thick. And Mama says, okay, okay, during this lockdown, as soon as the lockdown is over, go and cut your hair and be gentle. The same thing he says. Just after the exam, your good luck and everything, I agree. Okay, wear it. After the exam, you should be very polite, very gentle. That is the meaning. Be surely humble. If there was one thing that Jackson genuinely loved about Evans, it was his long, wavy hair. Ah, like you. Jackson didn't like, Jackson hated. Jackson had a great dislike on the lengthy, long, wavy, uncombed, dirty hair. That is why he said after the exam, cut your hair and be polished. And get shaving also. You should shave every day. Some people do not shave in these days because they do not get the blade from the shop. Shops are closed. Some reason. Jackson tells him, get shaving also. At 8:45 the same morning, the Reverend Stuart McCleary, underline, Reverend Stuart McCleary left his flat, bachelor flat, it is not married flat, unmarried flat, it is not there. Bachelor spinster, isn't it? Bachelor flat, single man's room, single man's room. Bachelor flat in Broad Street, underline all these things, one mark questions. For example, one mark questions. In Broad Street, we may leave it, but it may be asked. Reverend Stuart McCleary left his flat, which was in Broad Street, and stepped out briskly towards Carfax. So he is coming to the jail for the invigilation. The weatherman reported temperatures considerably below the normal from early June. So there was prediction about the weather, and a long black overcoat, that is Parsons dress, that is a formal dress, long black coat, overcoat, and a shallow crowned clerical hat. Clergy, I told you clergy, parson, pastor, priest, parson, clergy, pastor, priests, all these words are synonyms. The names are different according to the religious communities. Religious communities, they use different terms. So they have or they wear a particular hat. They wear a particular hat. That is what is known as clerical hat, a hat worn by a priest. So he had his attire, a long black overcoat, shallow crowned clerical hat provided welcome protection from the steady drizzle which had set in half an hour earlier. You see, little steady drizzle is there. So, because of this hat, shape of the hat, it can protect him from the drizzle. And the drizzle was for last half an hour, half an hour earlier, and which now spattered the thick lenses of his spectacles. So his spectacles, not spectacle, spectacles. Always it is used as plural. Specs, SPECS, short form. Specs. Don't say spec. Meaning is different. Don't say spectacle. No, spectacles. It is, sorry, a pair of two glasses. So now spattered. Spattered here means I would say sprinkle. Sprinkle on his glasses. The thick lenses of his spectacles. In his right hand, he was carrying, sorry, in his right hand, he was carrying a small brown suitcase. A small brown suitcase, which contained all that he would need for his morning duties. What is a morning duty? Invigilation. So the suitcase contained all the materials needed for his invigilation. Which are they? Including a sealed question paper envelope. A question paper is sealed there in an envelope. Number one, underline sealed question paper envelope, single underline number one. Number two, a yellow invigilation form. There is no need of explanations, only you have to understand. Number two. Number three, a special authentication card from the examinations board, ID card. ID card. Number four, a paper knife. Usually in good olden times, paper was cut with a knife. Knife, not your vegetable knife. A steel knife, sharpened knife. With that, we would cut the paper into pieces. So, paper knife, then a Bible, because he was a parson, he was a priest, he was a Christian priest. So, he was carrying a Bible. So, six, he was to speak to the Women's Guild, Women's Association, Women's Guild that afternoon on the book of Ruth. Book of Ruth is one of the 73 books of the Holy Bible. Book of Ruth is one of the 73 books of Holy Bible. Holy Bible includes 73 books. One among them is Book of Ruth. So in the afternoon, he had to go to a meeting in the Women's Association, maybe YWCA you can say. There he had to preach, give a speech on this book. That is why he carried the Bible with him. So while our Evans was writing the exam, he could prepare for his speech. And a current copy of the Church Times, a news magazine. Church Times, a news magazine. So he carried question paper, invigilation form, authentication ID letter, paper knife, Bible, Church Times. Six things he carried. It was there in the suitcase. You can put left side a curly bracket, then you can write in the suitcase. In the suitcase. Then you put six. So it is easy. If you miss anything, you will be able to know. In the suitcase, six. The 2 hour examination was scheduled to start at 9:15 a.m. So a time of examination is to begin at 9:15 a.m. Evans was lathering his face vigorously when Stephens brought in two small square tables and set them opposite each other in the narrow space between the bunk on the one side and on the other distempered stone wall. So by this time, in the jail, in the bunk, you see, new word, in the bunk, in the cell, in the jail room, in the prison, what he was doing, Evans was shaving. He was getting ready. By that time, Stephens brought two square tables, and he arranged inside the bunk, one for Evans and the other for the invigilator. Next, then he brought two hard chairs, not cushioned one, two hard chairs. Among these two, one is with a slightly less battered. That's the shape of the chair. We can say an easy chair model. Easy chair model. Slightly slanting type. That chair he had kept it for the invigilator. You see, he brought in two hard chairs. In that, the slightly less battered chair of which he placed in front of the table which stood nearer the cell door. The slightly less battered chair, he kept it for invigilator. Jackson put in a brief final appearance. By this time, Jackson came again there to have a look, to see the arrangements. Then he told Evans, behave, you, behave yourself, laddie. Laddie means boy. Laddie means boy. My dear boy, behave properly. Behave yourself like, can you tell me the next word? Behave yourself like whom? Behave like Shirley Temple. Be polite. That means behave yourself decent during the time of exams. Evans turned and nodded. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. And these, Jackson pointed to the pin-up. Some pin-ups photo was there. He told, take off. Evans turned and nodded again. I was going to take them down anyway. I was trying to remove it, sir. A minister, isn't it? A minister. Jackson, sir, a minister is coming for invigilation, isn't it? minister person here. Here, minister means not prime minister or chief minister or any sectional minister. No, here minister is minister of religious ceremonies. That is a priest. Priest. So a minister is coming, isn't it? The chap coming to sit in, the man who is going to come in as an invigilator, isn't it? That's the meaning. And how did you know that? Asked Jackson quietly. Well, I had to sign some forms, isn't it? Didn't I? And I couldn't help. So by that time, Evans came to know that who was coming for invigilation. He came to know that it was a parson. He clearly knew it was McCleary who was going to come as an invigilator. So the next we will see in the next class. Okay, thank you.